I'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. Shelby County Supervisors on March 15th. Anybody have a conflict of interest on anything on today's agenda?
None? No, sir.
Do I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented? Mark, is there any additions?
No.
Motion approved.
Motion by Charlie, second by Darren. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Been able to look over the claims for March 10th. Any questions on them?
Nope. Nope.
Motion to approve the claims.
Make that motion.
Section by Charlie, second by Darren. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. We have minutes from the March 1st and March 7th.
They were just,
Over.
they were as published.
Okay, no
Unless you guys-
corrections. Okay, motion to approve.
Motion.
Motion by
Second.
Darren, second by Charlie. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Chris Nelson, Greenwald, our annual audit. Good morning.
Good morning, Chris.
Take the hot chair over there if you
All
want.
How are you, Chris?
I'm doing well. How's everyone?
Good.
Good.
What I'd like to do is just kind of touch on the audited financial statements of the county for fiscal year 21. If anybody has questions, please feel free to ask and I'll try to address them.
Okay.
If you turn in a couple of pages to the independent auditor's report, bottom is page 2. It goes for about 3 pages. Really just a couple of reminders here. This is a standard wording for an unmodified opinion. That's what you're after. That means your financial statements are presented fairly. Couple reminders in the second paragraph that even though we prepare the financial statements and the footnotes on your behalf, these are your financial statements, they're not ours. And our responsibility as your auditors is to provide an opinion on your financial statements. Again, those are unmodified opinions. Past the independent auditor's report is management discussion and analysis. I'd like you to flip past that. That is just a report required by government accounting standards that allows management to give information about what happened during the year and maybe more in a narrative form versus numbers and financial statement form. So if you turn to the first financial statement, lower left-hand page is page 4, Exhibit A at the top. You have 3 sets of financial statements that are required as part of your audited financial statements. Even though the county maintains its books and records on a cash basis throughout the year, budgets on a cash basis, your financial statements, your audited financial statements are on a full accrual basis and a modified accrual basis. So a lot different than what you're used to seeing. This first report is a balance sheet or statement of net position on a full accrual basis. All of the funds of the county are included. So this tries to give an overview or a picture of the financial position of the county. Looking at the left-hand side, starts with the assets. Your cash at the end of the year was $7,237,000. That's up from the prior year of about $5.2 million. Your total assets of $40,248,000. And you see the largest component of that, the line right above it, your capital assets, which are net of depreciation expense, so all your roads, bridges, buildings, and so forth, $25,019,000. It's about $470,000 down from the prior year, just as you continue to take depreciation. Moving down the page, the deferred outflows of resources is related to the pension accounting. These are expenses that you will incur or record in future years. Liabilities total $5,415,000. You really don't have any long-term debt. The only long-term debt that's listed there is your share of the unfunded pension liability of $3,197,000. Last year that was $2.5 million. This number bounces around just depending on how the IPER's defined benefit plan does. I would expect, and these numbers are always a year behind. So these are as of June 30, 2020. Obviously, we were right in the middle of the pandemic or beginning of it. Markets were down and so forth. We get to next year at 2021, where the markets had rebounded and doing very well, I would expect that this liability will decrease as well.
And just so people realize, this is not an expense we have to pay.
Correct.
It's just if it went belly up, we're responsible.
Yeah, basically. It's really just there for disclosure purposes that says the IPERS is not completely funded. It's about 82 or 3%. It's one of the better ones in the nation. Yeah, you continue to make your contributions like you normally do. The state legislature can change contribution rates by 1% up or down in any given year. They can't call you and say, hey, pay us that $3 million,
Right.
we need it. They have a plan over the next 25 to 30 years to get that to fully funded, so we'll see how that works.
So does this include both retirees and current working?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, yep, your share of everything, yep. Otherwise, the other large item there, the $1.1 million of unearned revenue, this is the American Rescue Plan funds that you received right at the end of the year that hadn't been spent yet. So it's part of cash, but shown as a liability. The deferred inflows of resources, $7,278,000. Most of this is the unrecorded or unrecognized property tax revenues. You levy property tax for the next fiscal year. It's shown as a receivable, but one of the unique accounting items of government accounting standards is that's not recorded as a revenue until the year it's to be levied for. So that will be recognized next year. And that gets us to page 5 on the right-hand side. Your net position or equity increased this past year at $28,450,000. This financial statement shows that the county continues to be in a good financial position. The next page is Exhibit B. This is the income statement for the full accrual basis financial statement. Again, it includes all funds of the county. One of the things that this does is this does include depreciation expense of almost $1.9 million. It does not include purchases of property and equipment, which are typically shown as expenditures under the reports you receive, or lease payments. It does include the pension accounting. The way we read this financial statement is starting on the left. Your expenses during the year were $14,176,000. Moving from left to right, our program revenues, or revenues you received for providing specific programs or services to individuals within the county. So you had charges of services revenue of $819,000, operating grants, contributions, restricted interest, those types of revenues, $5 million, most of that being road use tax receipts, and capital grants of $720,000. This is farm to market money that you use during the year that does not go through your books. And that gets us to $7,562,000. That's shown there in brackets. What this number represents are expenses of the county that were not covered by those program-specific revenues. So your program-specific revenues accounted for about 47% of the expenses of the county. The remaining 53% then are covered by the general revenues, which include your property taxes, local option sales tax, other state credits. Those totaled $7,877,000, getting us to an overall increase in your net position on an accrual basis of $314,000. All right. On to the next financial statement. It begins the second set of financial statements on Exhibit C. This is a modified accrual basis. So some of the differences. It does not include capital assets, it doesn't report your long-term debt, and it doesn't include the pension accounting. So some of the differences between the two. It's also reported by the major funds of the county. The 4 major funds this year were the General Fund, Rural Services, Secondary Roads, and the American Rescue Plan. All the other funds of the county are combined into the non-major funds column. Just looking at the right-hand side, your total assets were $14,717,000, and you can see how that's dispersed among the major funds. Liabilities in total were $1,834,000. The largest component of that, again, was the unearned revenue for the American Rescue Plan dollars. Deferred inflows of resources, similar to the prior financial statement, we saw $7,040,000, most of that succeeding year property tax revenues. And then this is continued on the next page, and it shows fund balances by each of the major funds. In total, your fund balance was $5,842,000. Of that, the general fund was $1,004,000, rural services $424,000, secondary roads just over $3 million. The American Rescue Plan shows a zero because it had cash and deferred revenue. It does not have any fund balance at that time. And your non-major funds were $984,000. Again, it does show that overall your major funds are in a good financial position.
What's a good range, like the general fund, that should be in?
What should it be? You know, there's really no minimum. I think the maximum is a year's expenditures. If there's a limit that you can't just hoard money.
Minimally, you want to keep that 3 to 6. Don't you?
Yeah, I don't think you want. Yeah, you certainly don't want a huge amount, but yeah.
Thank you.
And there's so many other factors that go into it, what projects come around the corner, other funding sources that you might have coming, so yeah. On page 9 is Exhibit D. It's a reconciliation of the fund balances that we just saw on the previous page. On the modified accrual basis, $5,842,000, getting down to the net position, or equity on the full accrual basis we saw in the first statement of $28,450,000. You can see the first section there, the largest item, capital assets, included in the full accrual basis were $25,019,000. The other large adjustments to get to those are related to the pension accounting, the liability, and the deferred inflows and outflows. And on page 10 then is the income statement on the modified accrual basis financial statements, again by major fund. Looking at the right-hand column, your total revenues were $13,863,000, of which general fund had about $5.7 million, rural services $2.6, secondary roads $4.8, and again the American Rescue Fund showed zero revenues because it hadn't earned those dollars yet or spent them. Expenditures were $13,054,000, the majority of that being in the general fund and secondary roads. This carries on to the next page to show the other financing sources and uses, which are primarily transfers between the funds as well as sale of capital assets. They showed to a net positive $21,000, and that gets us to the overall increase in your fund balances by funds of $830,000. The general fund showed an increase of $71,000, rural services a decrease of $70,000, secondary roads an increase of $662,000, and your non-major funds combined were $166,000. And the next page shows then a reconciliation from the modified accrual increase of $830,000 we just saw to the increase we saw of the full accrual of $314,000. The largest components being the first section there, the capital items, including depreciation expense and adjusting for capital purchases, as well as farm to market money. And the other primary component is the pension accounting. The next few pages are related to your internal service fund. I believe this started like 3, maybe 4 years ago. Is really starting to grow and continue to build just as you're intending it to for group health insurance expenses. At the end of the year, you had assets and net position of $511,000. That's up $139,000 compared to last year of $373,000. So again, it's continuing to build about that every year. On page 14 is the income statement for the internal service fund. You had revenues coming in primarily from the operating funds of the county of $207,000. In total, those operating revenues were $216,000. The expenses totaled $76,000, medical claims of which were $72,000. Getting to the operating income of $139,000, a little bit of interest income, and that gets us down to the net position of $511,000 that we saw on the previous page. And then this financial statement requires a statement of cash flows, and it just tries to show on a cash basis where dollars come from, where they're spent within the government accounting standards categories, which include the operating activities and investment activities. You had positive cash flow from operations of $138,000. That's important. In running any type of business, you have to have positive cash flow. And then the last two pages, 16 and 17, exhibits J and K, is a summary of the custodial funds that the county holds on behalf of other governmental entities or other organizations. Exhibit J on the left-hand side are the assets, receivables, cash, liabilities that are held. In total, the assets were $20,934,000, of which $18.8 million were succeeding year property taxes that you will collect and disperse during fiscal year 22. The right-hand side is the activity of the year for those custodial funds. You collected on behalf of those organizations $27,620,000. $18 million was property taxes. Other items include auto licenses, use tax, and so forth. And dispersed $27,465,000 out to those various organizations during the year.
So they lost 160,000 somewhere. Did we keep that for us, or?
What's that? It increased, the net change increased 155, yeah.
Okay, but we brought in 27,620 for them, and we only dispersed 27,465.
Yeah, it increased 155. So what you collected in June, you disperse in July.
Gotcha.
And so there's always that little bit of a lag. Yep. Following the financial statement are standard footnote disclosures, required supplementary information. I don't intend to go through it. There isn't anything new or unusual this year. What I would like you to turn back to is page 62 and 63, the last couple of pages in the report, the written findings that we have, which are all predominantly positive items. There were no issues identified during the audit. The audit went very well. We found things to be recorded appropriately, receipts reconciled. There were no issues identified. There are 12 items that the State Auditor's Office requires that we look at and include in your report. The first finding is the item A. You exceeded the amounts budgeted in two of the functions during the year, the County Environment and Education function and the debt service function. The comment and recommendation being that the budget needs to be amended before those expenditures are allowed. And the other items are all positive comments. Item L at the very bottom on page 63 is more of a disclosure item, fairly recent in the last 2 or 3 years. And it's more of a reminder to you that when you contribute and participate in economic development endeavors, which are important, the county needs to be part of those, but to make sure that it's accounted back to you how your dollars are spent. You know, are they being, is public purpose being met? And, you know, continue to document that, continue to consider that when you're making those contributions. And that's what that item means. Again, otherwise the audit went well.
Have any red flags?
No.
Okay.
Will this new software make things easier or harder? Or?
Oh, you know, nothing, you know, anytime you go through changes in software, especially they say, oh, it'll convert right over. No. You know, there'll always be a learning curve, but, you know, for our purposes, we review and deal with a lot of different types of software, so it's typically not so bad.
I was going to say, you've probably seen it at other courthouses already anyway, don't you?
Well, with our net position going up 1.1%, it's about $315,000. That's a compliment to all the department heads. 'Cause it takes
Absolutely.
everybody.
Yeah, yeah,
And
absolutely.
everybody stays within their budget.
Yep,
Okay.
Yep.
So, okay, I appreciate that.
all right.
Mark, do you have any questions?
No, not that can't be addressed at another time, just detailed things.
You guys?
None.
Okay, appreciate your
All
help.
right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chris.
Next on the agenda, temporary liquor license. Manila, you got something on that?
Yeah,
Mark?
it's north of Irwin on the county line. There's the old, I think it was a seed corn processing place at one time right on the highway there, and they have events there, and the liquor licenses are for 2 of the events they're gonna have.
Have we got about
Few
the
of
third
these,
time now?
Yeah, and they
No
were
issues?
gracious enough to do it all at once now
Okay.
instead of at the last minute like they had in the past.
Okay, when will this be held?
It's for a couple of.
September 30th, October 4th, and June 24th to June 28th.
Okay. Been no issues I've heard of, you guys?
So do they have the same people coming in each time?
Yes, it's the same
'Cause
liquor,
we're issuing the license to the vendor, correct?
okaying it.
Okay.
The state does
okay.
all the issuing, but they require Board of Supervisors approval.
Okay. Do you have a motion to approve?
So approved. Second.
Do you have a question?
Nope.
Darren? Okay. Motion by Charlie, second by Darren. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion carried. Thank you, Mark. Mr. Todd Beleen, Shelby County Chamber, update. Morning, sir.
Morning. Just a couple of very quick items. Reminder that this Saturday at 10 a.m. out in the atrium of the chamber will be our next legislative coffee session. So we'll have right now both Senator Schultz and Representative Holt there. And it'll be sponsored by Town and Country, but it'll be held out at the chamber atrium. So again, it's 10 o'clock on Saturday morning. And then the way things are shaping up, we'll see how all the filings go here over the next couple of weeks, but looks like we might actually have some candidate forums before the primary. I think it's been a long time since we had that type of an opportunity around here. So if that does, after we see the filing status, if that does work out, then it would be probably late April that we would schedule a candidate forum for that.
What is our deadline again, Mark?
25th?
25th for local, yes. And then finally, just as we continue to come out of pandemic activities, just announcing that we will actually be having our Administrative Professionals Day event, the Fun China Luncheon that we used to hold. We will have to hold that this year. We already have people who are reserving tables to decorate. We're looking to hopefully have about 80 to 100 in attendance. So that'll be
Okay.
April 27th. And like I said, it's been a couple of years since we were able to do that. So
Okay.
that'll be fun.
I see we have just read in the paper today, a bottle bill running through the legislature.
Gonna change it?
Yeah, I didn't get all the particulars, I didn't get, all of it. Sounds like they're gonna,
There's an effort, but
to move it to the distributors instead of the grocery stores,
correct, yeah. So we'll see.
and more of them.
You don't sound confident.
No, I don't see anything along those lines changing anytime soon, but at least there's an effort, which is better than the last couple of sessions where there really wasn't an effort at all.
Yeah, they didn't talk about it.
Yeah,
Okay,
so, yep.
okay.
Any
The auditor said he would like you to go back to the office and account for our $25,000.
Really?
That's what I heard.
All right, I can take care of that. All I gotta do is show them that fancy card.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, thanks.
Thanks. Secondary roads report, 5-year plan and policy updates. Brandon, good morning.
Hi, Brandon.
Computer just
Cross your fingers.
Yeah, that one works, I
And
think. So.
Darren, if you take the remote and turn on the monitor,
I know how to run on these.
that's it. That's all you should have to do.
Thank you.
No kidding.
Take one. Pass it.
Each
HDM1, is that the right one, Mark?
Going through the 5-year plan first, Brandon? Or
Yeah,
what?
that's what I plan on doing, but
Unless I don't come up.
Is that screen on the
No.
computer?
Oh, it's not, okay. Maybe I didn't need to
it's
change it.
humming like it's thinking about it, so.
Takes a while.
It worked at 20 till 9.
Do you know which, was it on
It's a-
HDM1?
Yes.
Should be. Well, I can talk about the policy, start with one of those while this is starting up.
Okay.
So I guess we can start with the utility, or I guess the application for approval of underground or overhead construction. I believe our last permit was early to mid 90s. So
Been that long?
Yep. So it needed some updating. Some of the highlights that we updated with this one, insurance and bonding requirements are the one did not require anyone to have insurance to work within our right of way, and that's basically a necessity anymore. And then a bonding requirement where we have them bond for approximately what they're gonna spend within our right of way. So if there's any issues, we can get them remediated immediately. Had some issues in the past, just repairing stuff to county standard, and then it's hard to get money out of them to bill them. It's tough, so I think if they bond, then we can just turn it in on their bond. If they don't fix it, it'll be a lot easier.
Okay.
Boring of all county roads, that wasn't in the last one. We really like to see that, but this irons that out. And then there's that possible fee section there where.
Where's the boring comments?
That's in the during construction,
Okay, gotcha.
or installation, I guess. It's under installation, all underground utility installations proposed across county roads or highways shall be bored unless the county engineer waives such requirement in writing prior to commencement of work.
Okay. And you had Marcus look through this?
Yes.
Yep.
Have any issues?
No, I had a couple comments and those were made and
Okay. Okay.
I definitely wasn't an English major, so he had some wordsmith fixes for me, but.
You just made them bigger.
Okay.
Yeah.
you just hook yours up if you'd rather.
Okay. I think everyone's here for the 5-year plan anyway, so.
We'll go and approve these policies together. Is that okay?
Okay.
Yes.
The ones that will be approved anyway.
Sure, yes.
Like I said, it was working at 20 to 9.
That's the way it works.
Yep.
So basically going over the 5-year plan and budget today. Here's a map of our proposed scheduled work. Just kind of shows what we're thinking about in the next 5 years. I'll talk about all the projects. Basically, here's what we're gonna be doing this spring. It won't be included in the 5-year plan. First, the bridge crew will be going to the Gall Bridge replacement. It's on 1800 Street west of Juniper, replacing an existing embargoed bridge. We got beams in the yard for that, and bridge matrix points of 53. The next one is the deputy low water crossing. It's on 800 Street west of Hackberry, replacing that embargoed bridge with a low water crossing. It's on a dirt road. Bridge matrix points of 58. The projects that get let today are F-24 rubblization and overlay and the F-58 mill and fill. The F-58's from the west city limits of Elkhorn to Audubon County, and F-24's from Linden Road over through Irwin to Timber Road. And then, yeah, the estimates for those are there. I guess we'll see see how they come out today. I would have liked to let them in January, but there's two people at the DOT that check plans, and yeah, they didn't get to them for a while. And it's kind of a sticking point with some county engineers. I'd like to see that change, and I think there's a lot of other county engineers that would like to see it change, because right now they're trying to redesign their projects, and we design them. We're all engineers, so they're supposed to check if the project's lettable, not redesign it. So the other two have been let. Pavement markings was let in 2020. There just was no paint last year from the pandemic, so we had to suspend work, but they found paint. I think they're going to start next month sometime, so that's a good thing. There's a lot of roads that need painted.
And they're sticking to the price.
Yep, and then slurry leveling last November, that'll be done sometime this year. I think Denko's getting ready to come in, but it probably won't be till May or June, I would think. 2023 projects, so this is July 1 and on. We're going to do HMA patches on M16. I believe 2025 we're going to overlay that, so we need to get some of the joints fixed before we do an overlay. The Jensen Bridge replacement, it's on 800th Street east of M56. It's got 59 bridge matrix points. And then the Prairie Rose spillway, it's on the back side of Prairie Rose. It's on Redwood Road, north of F58. And that should be updated. It's going to be replaced with a bridge, not a structural steel plate. And then 70 points on the matrix. These are 2024 through 2027. The first one is Elkhorn Park bridge replacement. And I guess with the fiscal year, FY24 starts next June. So they could be replaced anytime from, or next July. So next July within that fiscal year. It's on Yucca Road south of 600th Street. Replace that removed structure and bridge matrix points of 41. Then we'll do slurry leveling, pavement markings. We try to do those every other year. You can see that in 2024 and 2026. The M16 resurfacing I talked about there in 2025. And then Audubon County would like to replace a bridge on the county line. It's on Xenia, south of F58. Replace the existing structure for $600,000, and currently it has bridge matrix points of 29, but Mitch has to go out and reassess that structure, and it might be getting a weight limit on it, and it's narrow, and that's an Audubon County lead, so it's basically a placeholder for now. He hasn't decided what he wants to do with it, but I added it to the 5-year plan just because it's on his, and we'll have a lot more discussions before it's completely done. Basically, 2023 we're pretty set in stone. 2024 those projects are pretty set in stone, but then 2025 through 27 those projects can move around a lot depending on a lot of factors.
M16 resurfacing for $2 million. How many miles is that?
It is it's about 15 miles, but we're gonna do a bunch of patching next year, fix all the joints, so all we gotta do is go in and mill the surface and put resurfacing on it. There won't be any more structural work done to it.
Looks like from about the Westphalia Road down to Shelby.
Yes. Yeah, to the north city limits of Shelby. Shelby's more than 500 people, so we won't go into town there.
Right.
It's kind of, and it's pared back from other years, just with the cost of things going up. Just trying to present to you guys what I think we can actually get done.
What do you think that Irwin project's gonna be?
I don't know. Oil went down, and they don't get their bid price on their bituminous till the day of or the day before. So hopefully, it's back under $100 a barrel. So maybe we'll kind of sneak in there and be decent. I know there's some projects, 173 from Elkhorn South that's getting redone. And then Audubon County's got a project, so if we can grab onto the same contractor and they can put a plant kind of in the center, that would save a lot of money too.
What percentage of your cost is dependent on oil price? 50%?
No, it's not 50%, but it's probably 40.
Yeah, January made a big difference.
Right, right. I sincerely
But it
wish
is
that
what
we
it is,
got
I
to
guess.
it. Right. And I think that's gonna change here. I would hope it would change. And then we're trying to find, used beams are harder to come by, but I think we got a line on some this morning, so we're just working towards continuing to be hot and heavy on bridges. Bridge plank, they don't creosote treat anymore, the big
Oh, you were
creosote
saying that.
treater went out. So we're gonna try, copper naphthenate's the other product. It doesn't hold up like creosote. I know some counties are going to a steel deck that they fill with gravel. It might be something where we could try that, and maybe put a chip seal over the top of that to hold it down. So there's other options. Just see where we go here. Maybe someone will buy that creosote plant and get it fired back up. But from what somebody said, there was a sale and it fell through, and it's just shuttered right now, so. That's kind of it in a nutshell. I don't know if any of you gentlemen had any questions or.
No? Do you guys have any questions?
I visit with Brandon, just kind of keep posted as to what that bridge project on the Elkhorn Bridge, how it's
Okay.
coming along.
Okay.
And like I say, we've been patiently waiting,
Okay.
and we just hope you'll approve it. We're paying our taxes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, ain't getting any cheaper either. Like
It's
your
slowly
material.
moving up the list, it looks like.
Yeah, well,
What was the points on that one?
41.
41.
41 observed there. It was a 4-ton bridge, so you weren't gonna get a lot of traffic on it.
Okay. What about the other policies?
Can I get an approval of the 5-year plan separate of the
Yeah.
other policies, please?
Motion approved.
Motion by Charlie.
Second.
Second by Darren. Any other questions? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, and we went through the utility one. So what do you want to do next?
Maybe the entrance application.
Okay.
And I don't know if we're ready to approve this one.
Okay.
I had some questions I wanted to run by you
Okay.
gentlemen.
Yeah.
Basically, the entrance policy was another mid-90s that needed updated. It has insurance requirements on it too. Always good to have somebody that's working in our right of way have insurance. Basically, our old one, it had 650 feet for paved roads, line of sight, and 350 feet for rock roads. AASHTO manual, which is what we follow, is 500 feet for all roads. So we're changing it to that. We were approving entrances on gravel roads that required a hidden driveway sign immediately after approval. So it'd be good to get this to a standard that's acceptable with common practice. Allowing plastic culverts.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
The
yeah.
potential of plastic culverts. When we quoted steel, they were all up 50% this year. So basically, plastic culverts are about $19 a foot less than steel.
And you'll carry them.
Yeah, we will stock them
Okay.
in the yard. They're readily available right now from the supplier. And they come in 20-foot sections, and we wouldn't cut them, so it'd either be a 40 or a 60-foot culvert. Steel's currently 30 feet, and we'll cut it in half, but we wouldn't cut the plastic in half.
So you said on new construction, they would have to pay for the culvert?
Yes. Yes.
If it needs replaced, we would pay for it?
Currently,
Okay.
Yeah, That's the way it's been. New ones you have to pay for.
right. And kind of the proposal I wanted to float by you gentlemen, I talked to some of the other counties around. It's kind of a sprinkling on how they handle maintenance of the culverts. Pot County, they do nothing. You don't have to buy your culvert from them. You just have to get approval of the entrance. When it needs replaced, you have to replace it
Has
yourself.
to meet their specs or whatever.
Yes, yep. Harrison County, they do what we do right now. They stock it, you buy it from them, and then the county maintains it forever. Crawford County does that, and so does Audubon County. They all stock them, maintain them forever. Cass County, you buy the culvert from Cass County, and Cass County installs it. So new and existing and replacement, you used to have to buy the culvert from the county, but then the county replaces it for you. My proposal would be, we don't install, we provide existing culverts with a new culvert. If they're shot, we'll give you the culvert, but you have to replace it yourself.
You trust people to do it, right?
They have to install them, they have to install the new ones right now themselves anyways. The new installations are done by the landowner or the person requesting the permit or a contractor.
Do you inspect them when they're done or anything?
But we will look at them, if it's one that we think might have an issue. Most of them are 24-inch culverts where the ditch is good, and we deliver them. I mean, we'll
Right.
just take it out to you after you pay for it, if we're gonna be in the area, and roll it in the ditch, and then it just gets covered with dirt. I guess that's something for consideration. I don't know if you guys wanna think about it for a little bit, but, I'll just run it all over. We probably replace 15 or so driveways a year. That's probably gonna start to ramp up. You know, we'll do them if we're close. We'll continue to do them if we're close. But I guess I'd like to get further away from the driveway business because we have plenty to do.
I would trust your judgment. What needs to be done.
And Chris has been out doing culvert inventory, and he found 850 in the top 4 in 4 townships. So times 4, we got 3,500 culverts in the county.
So, maybe I heard you wrong. I thought you said like Harrison, Crawford, Audubon, they put them in new and replace them?
No, they do not put them in new, but they assume maintenance forever.
Just like we
They
do?
do exactly like we do.
Okay, and then Cass County, again, is,
You buy the pipe, but they do all the maintenance.
okay, even on the new one?
On a new one and a replacement, they install all entrances.
Pot County does nothing.
Pot County does absolutely nothing.
So it's a little all over the place?
Yep.
Okay.
And it might be something where I can ask all counties, if we have a deal where I can ask all other county engineers and just see what they do, if they're completely out of the entrance game or if they do any sorts
Or
of.
if they're moving towards it.
Right,
rather than-
right.
Hey, if you don't mind, I won't mind tabling this
Okay,
today.
sure.
You guys all right with that?
Yep. And I think a lot of counties are going to plastic culvert, allowing it for driveways,
Okay.
so.
Are you guys all right with that?
Yep.
Darren?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, get back and see what you find out.
Okay.
Around there.
Okay. And then the last policy would be the bituminous roads. It's not a drastic change on this one from what we had approved, I believe, in 2017. Just basically that your oil has to be maintained to a drivable condition at legal speeds. So I've heard from several that, well, it slows people down going by my place. Well, that's not really the idea we're put in here to
No.
remove
Yeah,
obstructions.
that's not their option to do it.
Right.
Otherwise, I could go out and put a speed bump in front of my road, right?
No, we will remove it.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying.
But, no, I guess that's what I'm proposing. It's not a drastic change, but it just puts more teeth in this because we call individuals that have oil that needs fixed, that instead of sending them a letter, just to,
The ones that are grandfathered in?
yep, to foster a good relationship. And some of them fix it right away, or they say, hey, can you give me till this date when it warms up? Obviously, you can't put cold patch down now when it's 50
No.
degrees. But, you know, there's other ones that you have to send them a letter and then you talk to them and it's a terse conversation. And
I would think also, I know from when I used to work on a road that was oiled, they don't last forever either. And when they get out there 5 to 10 years, you're pretty lucky if it's still, if it gets a lot of traffic.
right, and some
And
people
so they
do-
need to be keeping re-oil on it if they want to keep it too, not just patching it.
Yeah, and there's several that keep re-oiling them.
Okay.
Every year, every other year, but there's some that haven't been, oiled since the county oiled them last. 10, 15 plus years ago. So they're getting tough. I mean, they've patched them well, but they're just kind of, once they start to rut out and lose the base, it's,
So then you send them a letter, let them know what the expectations are.
yep,
Give them so much time, and then, that's according to our policy.
yep.
And then you inspect it, and if they don't, then you give them another letter and says it's gonna get tore up, correct?
In 14 days, yep, if you don't fix it, we'll come out and tear it up.
And a lot of it's for safety.
Yep, and generally, you send them the first letter, you have a conversation with them. And then getting their written plan of action is something else we need to do with specific dates. And
I was gonna say, just because they go out there and patch, it doesn't mean it's gonna last more than a couple months.
Right.
I mean.
Well, if they just throw a rock in there, it's not gonna last
No,
a few days.
Yeah, that's unacceptable. We definitely tell them
Okay.
you have to use cold patch, so.
Okay,
So really, the only thing you're changing is the need to be able to maintain.
Maintain speed
Speed.
and a written letter of intent of what you plan to do to your.
Okay. Oh, and did you put in something about marking if they're out there doing work? Or was that already in there?
I believe
Cones
that's
and flares?
That's in there.
that's
Yep.
in there.
That was already in there
Yes.
before?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. So this gives you enough,
To do
I
what you
believe
think
so.
you need to do?
I believe so. There's probably, 40 or 50 spots left within the county, and half of them, they do a really good job maintaining them, and the other half, you talk to those individuals about every year, so.
okay,
Yeah, I would just like to comment, I mean, most people are doing it for dust control. And I've got gravel in front of my house, and I used the spray on dust control this year, and I tell you what, it makes a huge difference.
yeah, I've been surprised how good it does too. It doesn't last forever by
I mean,
any
and
means.
it's gonna be way cheaper than them trying to maintain this thing or patch it every year. I think, and if they go and get a quote on completely redoing it, they're gonna be shocked.
Well, it's
So,
not cheap.
yeah, so I would recommend that they look into just doing alternate dust control.
There's at least two, if not three companies that come in. If anyone wants dust control, please call our office. I can give you the numbers of the companies. Two do calcium chloride, and one had done lignin sulfate, which is a tree sap. And they all seem to work in different situations. We can talk about it. Don't really like to make a recommendation, but just tell you how each of
Right,
them work
yeah.
in different circumstances and go from there. And then the last one, it's reimbursement of training expenses. So when they changed the CDL requirements in February, it really kind of threw a wrench in the system. Now everybody has to go to a certified trainer of individuals and get approved by them to take their CDL test. We have found someone in Audubon that does the test for $750. And then if they don't pass that, it's up to $100 or $100 an hour after that of classroom time until they're ready to pass the test. I feel that we're not gonna have many CDL drivers come in the doors for open positions in the future.
Well, it's baloney, this stuff here is.
Right, it's something we gotta do to protect ourselves. I don't know, are you guys moving towards something like that, Gene?
Might have a choice.
I think a lot of places are gonna have to do that. So basically what I'm proposing here, and I think Marcus, you looked at it.
I did.
And Ann with Ehlers came up with this. It's an agreement that you sign with a new employee that we will help them get their CDL just like we always have. We will pay the $750 and up to 7.5 hours of class time for a total of $1,500. And then if they stay for 3 years, that will be forgiven. The payback schedule is if they don't last 3 years, then 25% of what is owed will come out of their last paycheck. And then the remaining third, and the third, I guess a third, yeah. I'm getting ahead of myself. A third, and a third will be forgiven. each year that they stay on the year of their anniversary. If they don't stay, 25% of the remaining is due out of their last paycheck. Plus, it's $75 a month with an interest schedule that's listed in here until it's paid up.
And to me, with a maximum of 2 years, you said, on repayment.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then if they pay in full, they get a 10% reduction in the cost at any time, whether they pay immediately or they go a year and then pay the remainder off.
It's something similar to what we do for the academy and stuff too, so
Yep.
this isn't nothing new. It protects the taxpayers here too.
Right. I think we're one of the first counties to jump on it, but I would foresee there's
Yeah.
a significant number that'll do it in the future.
And where you guys have experience on what's on the test and everything, I would think that we probably won't get into that $1,500, probably just gonna be the $750.
I sincerely hope so. We won't, it's still the same practice as before. You take a test in the treasurer's office
Right.
and then you have 2 weeks with a permit. So we'll have them drive in with their permit and do the walk around and get them ready to pass their test.
Any more questions?
So what do we wanna do, approve 3 of these?
Yeah, we're gonna table, maybe if you can bring some back to the next meeting or
Yes,
two.
absolutely.
We'll table the entrance policy, and then I'm asking for approval of the utility permit policy, the bituminous roads policy, and the secondary road training reimbursement for CDL policy.
Make a motion to approve those as presented.
Second.
Okay? Any other questions? I got a motion from Darren and a second from Charlie. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion carries.
And then
And they will start today, Mark. Go into effect.
brief update from the bridge inspections, maybe the end of this week or starting next week. So I'll be around, but just kind of out of the office.
But busy?
Yeah, busy.
Or I should say on the road.
Yep. Starting Rock Hall last week of this month, potentially, kind of depending on the weather. We're first in line, so I know Hammond's kind of chomping at the bit, but I think we'll be pretty good with that last week in March. Crackfill starts Monday. Staville will be out there. If you see him, please have a little patience with him, please. Getting some of the asphalt roads crack filled like we do every year. Guys are finishing up brush cutting, need a little moisture, and we'll be out cutting out washboards and stuff like that. And then the F-24 and F-58 lettings are today, like I mentioned. I believe bids are due at 10, and then I think they release them at 11:30. So we'll know in an hour and a half where we sit with that. And
You'll get something out to us?
yes, yep, I'll send it to you, and then it'll be for approval or not at the next meeting. So we can go from there. That's all I have for today.
Okay.
Thanks, Brandon.
That's all.
Thank you, Brandon.
Yeah, plenty of time.
Boy, it does a lot.
Don't forget your PC.
Thanks.
Okay, next on the agenda is consideration ratification of proposed union contract. Just give you a little update. We met the first week of February. Mike Galloway is our HR person, met with the union here one day. Everybody got down to business and we come to a tentative agreement. And we've been notified here in the last week or so that the union has ratified their agreement. So we're here today to finalize that. And I'll give you a summary of that. We have 3 contracts here in the county. One's the sheriff's and the jailers, EMA, and secondary roads. So I'll do the sheriff's one first. We had just some sick leave language and holiday language that we included in there. Sick leave was something that we were already doing, but wasn't stated in the contract. On vacation, we added for new hires after completion of 6 months, 20 hours of vacation. And that you're gonna see that in all 3 contracts. Insurance stayed the same because our insurance the last 3 years, because of usage and that, has gone down. And so we left that alone. About the first time I can ever remember. So that again is contribute to the employees and doing their wellness program. doing 100% physicals, so we all share in that. On the salary, we set up a new wage salary schedule range, and up front we adjusted, because we were out of line with our jailers, with counties around us, $1 an hour, and deputies 50 cents an hour, so that went into their base pay. And then we looked at a 3-year contract, and that's with all 3 contracts. And the first year, starting in July of 22, July of 23, and July of 24, they will receive a cost of living increase of 4%. And in January, 6 months later, they're eligible for a performance evaluation step increase between 1 and 2.5%. And the reason we did that is we don't know what the cost of living is going to be. So to be fair to both sides, there is a CPI, which is a consumer price index that's posted out there every month. So in November of each year, we'll look at that, and let's say that comes in at 6%, then since they already got their 4%, they'd be looking at a 2% increase if they get a good performance evaluation. And that range can go from 1 to 2.5%. That's the max and minimum it can go. Okay? On the EMA contract, the same as what I have said, except for their longevity wasn't in line with where we are with other union contracts and non-union longevity. So we put them all at the same. Okay, so they went up a little bit. The wage, we set up a new wage schedule also for them, and they're also getting a 4% 3-year contract in July of 22, 23, and 24, and a 1.5 to 2.5 performance range based off CPI. Yep, okay, that's it there. And on secondary roads, we had some language change with 10-hour days in the summertime, which we had a gentleman's agreement we've been doing the last 2 years anyway, so we just got that in the contract. Safety clothing, boot allowance went up to $200. Again, the 6-month new employee, 20-hour vacation, 3-year contract. Longevity here also went up, so we're standardized within the county with our longevity. Their cost of living is going to be 3%, and they get a, I need to back up here a minute.
Put that same, I think, 1 to 2.5.
Yeah, 1 to 2.5, but you guys, I might not have the final one, but I was thinking they had a 50-cent increase to their wage step. Can you correct me?
I think that's right.
You don't, or you do?
I think it is right.
Dang. I apologize. Hang on a second.
It's for non-union.
Want me to run upstairs?
Yeah, we need to get this right.
I don't have mine with
Yeah, here, I have it on my summary page. For the secondary roads, 50 cent to all ranges, plus a 3% cost of living in July, and a 1 to 2.5% performance. And longevity goes up to the other steps. Yep, so.
So
apparently
50 cents on the secondary roads,
Yep.
non-union employees. Okay.
No, to the union employees.
Union, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's part, these are all just
Okay,
union
okay.
contracts. So, anyway, I apologize for the confusion there, so. Any questions? Did I miss something?
I think you covered it all.
Anybody have anything out there that was involved? I missed anything, Alex, or?
Brandon?
No, that's
Huh?
everything for us, yep.
Okay, you good there, Brandon? Okay, do I have a motion to approve the 3 contracts?
Make the
Contract?
motion.
Motion by Charlie, second by Darren. Any other questions? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion carried. I just want to say too, in my 10 years of working with union contracts, I felt everybody came to the table willing to see, because one of our goals of the board here was not just keeping employees, but you guys that are in business and people watching, it's hard to hire new employees when that time comes, they retire or step down or for whatever reason. And so we were really conscientious of making sure we were set up to bring on new employees. And so I thought we did that, and they brought some good ideas to the table, and it was really good negotiations. People weren't way out there in left field.
And it was a weird year. We knew that everything was high this year, but people weren't asking for the moon either, so.
Right. Well, and you can see that with performance evaluations. They were willing to, okay, we're not gonna guess and it's gonna be 6 or 7%. If it is there, fine, we'll deal with it. And if it's not, it's gonna be less than that. So I thought it went really well. So just kudos to everybody involved. So next on the agenda is fiscal year 2022 budget amendment publication and set a hearing date. Mark?
Yeah, I just put together the budget amendment. I tried to use round numbers where possible and make sure we're covered, because of ARPA spending, it's messing everything up. Because we have to budget for those things. Like Chris Nelson mentioned earlier, you're supposed to budget for it, amend for it before.
You use it.
We're gonna be a little late again next year. It's just gonna happen. And so that's why some of them numbers are pretty generous. Tax revenues, there's 1.2 million in revenues in ARPA, because we're gonna get another payment in ARPA money. The bond and ARPA in miscellaneous is 2.1 million in revenues. The transfers, that's gonna be because of ARPA's to replace money into the capital fund. Those are all revenues. And back into expenditures, in all the service areas, public safety and legal services. Again, that's about 85% of that is the new SRO officer, the school resource officer.
Okay.
That's about 80,000 of that. Physical health and social services is 254,000. County environment and
That was a
education.
decrease.
No, it was an
No.
increase.
Okay,
Yep. No, that's next year,
okay.
and we don't
What
have
was
that
that,
in.
why was such a large increase there?
I didn't write that one down. It must have been a cut and dried deal.
Okay.
I mean, just in
No
my
problem.
notes.
Yeah,
No, we can address that at the hearing though.
okay,
And
We're just setting the hearing date.
okay.
Yep. And county environment and education, most of that is the early mitigation project. And that's 226,000, and that's about what it's gonna cost. Government services to residents, most of that is election. And I under budgeted the expenses, but we did get back $3,000 more in reimbursements from the cities and schools in paying us for the election. So I under budgeted on what it was gonna cost us, but we got back, it cost more than what I thought also. And so we got that money back. And then the ARPA fund and capital projects, it's a even $1.9 million, just in case, where we wanna spend it. The transfers out, again, that had to match the transfers in. Any details, I can, anybody from the public, supervisors, anybody, just stop in and we'll go over them one at a time if you want to. And I've sent you the spreadsheets that shows you each department and everybody broken down. So,
So when are you looking to set the hearing date, Mark?
I wrote it on here, didn't I? Meeting date and time, 3/29.
Okay.
29th of this month.
No, it's April 5th. I wrote that down wrong.
gonna
I
say it.
apologize.
April 5th?
Yes. And that'd be a regular meeting.
Okay. So we'll set the
Yes.
budget amendment public hearing for April 5th.
I did have it written down. I was looking at the wrong sheet.
Okay. You guys have any other questions?
Nope.
Motion to approve.
Motion.
Motion by Charlie,
Second.
second by Darren. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion carried. Last but not least, just giving a reminder, there's a landowner public meeting tonight on the Summit Pipeline over at United Methodist Church, which is across south of Mid-States Bank. It's an informal meeting, and I was called and invited just to talk about how it affects the county if the pipeline goes through, what manpower and expenses we could be seeing, and I know there's a lot of concern out there if they use eminent domain. And I know that's what a lot of it's about. So if anybody's interested, it's tonight at 7 o'clock. So, with that, meeting adjourned. Thanks everybody for coming.